Those that are not familiar with Torex, we are a gold company, intermediate producer, based in Toronto, and our asset is in Mexico. We trade on the Toronto Stock Exchange under the symbol TXG. Our market cap is approximately 1 billion Canadian dollars. I'll be making lots of forward-looking statements, so please take a look at the safe harbor. Great reasons to invest in Torex Gold, mainly because it's a beautiful, high-margin asset, long-life asset, led by a team of very experienced management. All of us have gray hair in mining, and we embrace social and technical innovation. You can see here, first of all, we have the ELG complex at the top. ELG complex is comprised of 3 mines, really, 2 open pits and a small underground. Very high open pit grade, 2.7 grams per ton. We also have the subsill, which is the underground, at more than 10 grams per ton. From those 2 mines, we will be producing until 2024. We started production already in 2016. This year, we will produce about 325 to 350,000 ounces of gold. Once we finish in that mine, the next one in line is Media Luna. Media Luna is an underground deposit, a large underground deposit. We have more than 7 million ounces of gold equivalent. Not just gold, we have a little bit of copper and silver as well. So it's a beautiful asset. And on top of that, we have only drilled 25% of the property. So we have lots more to find within the property. And this is our property, the one in orange in the middle. We have 29,000 hectares. Only 25% has been explored, and we have already found 3 mines. We have in the north, what we call it, there's a river in between the 2 properties. In the north, we have the ELG, high-grade open pits. We have the high-grade underground, and a processing plant that has been ramping up. We started the processing plant in 2016. Last year, we reached commercial production. And this year, we finished the ramp-up at the end of this year. So this year, again, we will be producing in excess of 325,000 ounces of gold. These are our main investors, mainly institutionally held. 75% of our stockholder base is institutional. And that's why I'm here, because we're starting, now that the mine is producing and everything is stable, we're starting to reach to more retail, money managers, family offices that may be interested in trading on the stock. Some of these shareholders, many of them are very famous gold funds. They have been with us from the beginning, with the exception of BlackRock. BlackRock in London, they started buying only last year, at the beginning of last year, when we announced the discovery of our underground deposit. So with 10 calls, we can reach to 57% of our stockholder base, and with 25 calls, I reach to 75% of the institutions. Let's talk a little bit about our operations, the ELG. It's a lowest cost quartile mine, very low cost. Over life of mine is 730 all-inclusive cost. So we don't depend too much on gold price. We can make money out of it. The way we built this mine in 2013, we raised half of the money from equity, and 5 banks gave us the other half. Those 5 banks were ING, Societe Generale, Commonwealth Bank of Australia, Bank of Montreal in Toronto, and Scotiabank in Toronto. So 5 banks gave us a lot of money, a single asset company. They trusted a lot with their money, and they've been extremely good with us during the good times and bad times. So we're on track to full production from this processing plant. In full production, we'll be processing 14,000 tons per day, and in October, we were already 95% of that. The processing plant, again, SART plant. The SART plant is something that we had to build last year in order to manage high levels of copper, soluble copper. That has also been completed, is ramping up, and we should be completed at the end of this year. So with that, the SART plant will allow us to reduce costs by $65 per ounce. So next year, once things are stable, Our focus with operations will be to optimize operations and bring down those costs. Then it comes the subsill, which is the underground extension to the open pit. We discovered this in 2016, and last year we were already producing some ore from there. It's a beautiful sweetener. It's a small amount of tons, but very high grade, 10 grams per ton. It's a beautiful addition to the existing open pit mine. We are developing that. We have completed the backfill systems, the ventilation systems, the second access, and we should be steadily producing from this by the end of this year or beginning of next year. It's 850 tons per day capacity from this mine at more than 10 grams per ton. Here I show you the open pit. That's the shadow of the open pit, and underneath the open pit we have the subsill. And we have another little deposit, a Limon Deep. That has not been drilled much. We have a little bit of a resource, but we have 5 rigs in this area to extend the resources, to confirm resources here and see if there is any connection in between the two of them. That's a blow-up of the subsill. As you can see, the red is a skarn. All these deposits are skarn deposits. And the blue is where the reserves are. So we have not drilled yet all around here. Lots of potential to grow that underground deposit. We have 5 rigs. We just announced, actually, this week more results from a drilling, just confirming more of the same. This is the other big mine that we will be developing, Media Luna. We produced a PEA for this asset in September of this year, internal rate of return of 27% after tax. And it shows you here, in the first mountain is where the first mine is, the open pits and the underground. The plant would be here. And on the second hill, or the mountain, it's a big mountain, is where the second deposit is, Media Luna. Media Luna is a big deposit, underground deposit. So what we're planning to do is bring it through conveyors, have a rope con here, that's Austrian technology. We're already using one on the other side, and bring it down to the processing plant. All we have to add in the processing plant, in this case, would be a flotation circuit, because we have some copper in this deposit. So again, 4 drills, drilling in Media Luna. What we have to do in Media Luna, all the resource right now is inferred, so we are upgrading the resource. All next year we'll be drilling, and then preparing a feasibility study for Media Luna. A question that I receive a lot these days is about the new government in Mexico. There were elections this year in Mexico, and a left-wing candidate won the presidency of Mexico. So people are concerned about what plans the government has in terms of mining. And, you know, it's difficult to guarantee what governments are going to do. You never know what they will end up doing. But there are 2 things that they have told us. One is they acknowledge the importance of mining in Mexico. More than 5 million people depend on the mining industry in Mexico, and especially in the rural areas where they need jobs. And the second thing is a number of things that they include in their plans. We have already done that. For example, the royalty monies that they say that they should come back to the communities. We have already been paying those royalties since 2014. Actually, we have been helping the communities get access to those funds because they are entitled to that money, but they didn't know how to get that money. So we've been working with the communities to bring those royalty back to the 5 communities that are around the area. They are enforcing the environmental regulation. Our mine is built to Canadian standards, which are not much different, though, than the Mexican standards, because Mexico has been mining for many, many generations. So they have very clear regulations, good environmental standards. So when we went there, I was actually very surprised of the infrastructure and the regulations there. As long as you comply with their environmental regulation, you're fine. Well, they want to grow the economy of states in the south. We are located in the south, in the state of Guerrero. They want to increase the minimum salary. That does not affect us. We are paying way above the minimum salary to everybody. And then about implementation of technologies that have less environmental impact. On that, we have been the poster child in Mexico on environmental responsibility. And the 2 pictures there, the one on top shows you, well, the dome is where the stockpile is, and we created a dome to protect dust and noise from the going into the communities. As you see, the communities are behind that hill, that mountain. We also have the rope conveyor, as I mentioned, that's Austrian technology. Instead of having trucks coming up and down those slippery hills in the night and rainy nights and having accidents there, we decided to invest $20 million and install that rope conveyor. That was the first one in the Americas. And it produces green energy, so it also not just helps the environment, but we can transport the ore for free in there. On the bottom we have the largest dry filter tailings in the world, actually, 7 units. What they do is they take all the water from the tailings, so we can just stack them and dry them there. And I think this is the technology that most mines will have to go in the future. Environmentally, it's very friendly. We had water systems nearby, rivers. So I think that was another $20 million, but it was worth doing it. And I think that helped us get the permits really fast. There is no risk with this technology of there ever being a tailings dam break or an accident. So we were very proud of these 2 initiatives that we had. In terms of social responsibility, again, I remember from the very first day that we started the company 10 years ago, our first 5 hours were about what kind of culture we wanted to create, and we were very aware that if we did not have the community in our favor, we had no project. We have been very lucky with the communities, with the support. We had to move 2 towns, actually, and you would say, how did you manage to move 150 families without problems? And we had to explain them what was going to happen with the mines. And actually with the houses that you can see on the right-hand side, we built very good houses, high standards, with potable water, which they didn't have before, with electricity, which they didn't have before. We built schools with all the standards. Actually, the governor went to open the school and said that this was the first school at the standards in Guerrero. So we provided a better living, and those are the houses where our employees live, so we had to make them actually good houses for them. I remember they had never seen, one of the persons that had to move at the house was a person in wheelchair, so we made the house wheelchair accessible, and they had never thought of having something like that before. So we put lots of emphasis on our relations with, and it's not by providing free things, it's not by philanthropy. We were very careful on the dignity of the people, how you treat them and make them a part of your success. So ELG gives us gold now, Subsil will give us more gold next year. What about the longer term after Media Luna? What happens? This is a map of our project, all the property. And we have the river in between. We have El Limon, ELG, in the north, and Media Luna in the south. And you see all those purples are actually high magnetic anomalies. We took all the other colors out. Those magnetic anomalies have been good to us. ELG is under a magnetic anomaly. Media Luna is on a magnetic anomaly. So all these other purples have never been drilled. Actually, we drilled this one here, and we found 11 meters of 6 grams per ton. So there is lots of potential within the property to find more gold without having to go and buy at a premium another company. So we can provide all that organic growth. And in addition to that, we're embracing technology. And many people talk about automation, and really what they are doing is automating old mining systems. In our case, because, as I was mentioning before, we are old people in mining, our CEO has been developing for 20 years this system, and it's a mining system that instead of using the big trucks that underground mines use, we would develop a system that is smaller tunnels that have bidirectional traffic inside the mine, and that also allows us for steep access to deposits. And just to give you an idea what this technology would do to a producing mine, the top is Media Luna deposit with conventional mining. You see all the tunneling and all the development that you have to do. That's money, that's time. And in the bottom, you see the same deposit with a new technology. We could go faster and way less expensive. The first reports that we have, we would spend 30% less on CapEx, with spend 30% less in OpEx, and 30% time to production. And one of the beauties of the system is that we don't have to build it. Many of those parts are off the shelf. What we really have to design is just the carrier, make them fit into those smaller tunnels. The first machine has been built in Canada and is being shipped next week to Mexico, and we will be testing that in one of our little deposits in El Limón Deep. So we will have more updates on this. Again, it's a new system. We have to prove it. But if we can prove it, not just for Media Luna, it can allow us to access other deposits that have been mined out because they are too deep and it's not profitable to mine them anymore. We could get there cheaper. So it's lots of growth potential also on the technology. 2018 was a rich catalyst year. We completed the update for Media Luna, the PEA, commissioned the SAR plant. We're well ramping up to 14,000 tons per day. We're ramping up the subsill development to add high grade. We have continued exploration. We just issued an update for subsill. We updated also Media Luna. So we were very happy with what 2018 brought, and I think 2019 will also be a very good year for us. We have all the ingredients to continue growing the profitable business. We have a beautiful asset. We have great people, and we have a technology ahead of us. And these are just a few pictures to show you, those of you who have not been at a mine before. This is our processing plant at the bottom. This picture, I took that picture from the top of the mountain, and this is a rope conveyor, 400-meter drop, 1.2 kilometers, and it's a rope conveyor. It's a ski lift technology. It's just one tower here, one tower there, and a ski lift, basically. There's the dry stack filter tailings there. You can see we have lots of water. There's a river and a dam. And right there, the first community. We have 4 communities impacted in the area where we are. Those are our mining trucks up on El Limón. And I don't think you can see them, but they all have messages here about security and safety. It's things like your family waits for you. If you think it's not safe, don't do it. So we are very keen on safety. Another close-up of the dry stack filter tailings. You know, one day they will plant corn on those tailings facilities there. Part of our security inside, safety meetings, training. We're very keen on training as well. And some of the community outreach programs, whether it's with old age at the schools, health issues, environmental education programs, we're very active in there. And that's my story. So thank you very much.